Alright, strippers, strip clubs, doesn't really matter. Today we're talking bachelor parties and bare naked ladies. Hello my citizens of the world, I'm Yes or No, and today we are talking about the question, should you let your boyfriend go to a strip club for a bachelor party? Not necessarily his, but like maybe a friend of his bachelor party. Question mark. So first of all, let's talk about that word let. Should you let your boyfriend go to a strip club? Come on, we're adults. So no, you cannot let your boyfriend do anything because you do not have control over his actions. The only person you have control over is yourself. Sometimes we don't even have that much control over ourselves. But the only person you have control over is yourself and how much you are willing to tolerate. And so the way I think about this is instead of trying to force someone into being what you want, we have to get better at walking away from stuff that we don't want. I mean, obviously you don't walk away without communicating what you want, but that's a bit, side notes, right? Okay, anyway, that is enough of my ambassador, appease the other side part of this talk. Now I'm gonna get into the deep and dirty about this screwed up social norm that are bachelor parties with strip clubs. Strip clubs at bachelor party. It's weird, guys. It's weird. And I get it, not everybody's gonna agree with me, but it is weird. Weird. Okay? Because let's think about this, like a bachelor party. You're about to get married to the love of your life. And people celebrate this by watching other women take off their clothes and do dances for them. How is that honoring your future love? And I get it, it's supposed to be this one last hurrah, before you're committed. But at the same time, it's kind of wasn't your one last hurrah supposed to be before you decided to be exclusive with this person? That ended a long time ago. If you want a last hurrah, go be single. But okay, we're not condemning the person throwing the bachelor party right now. It's all beside the point. We are talking about what happens if your boyfriend wants to attend one of these, and for some reason his friend thinks it's a good idea to have strippers at his bachelor party. Oh, what should you do? What should you do? Dump him. What? Just kidding. Not entirely kidding. No, so a common phrase that a lot of people like to toss around is this sentence oh, but you should just trust them. You should just trust your partner that they won't do anything wrong. Okay, devil's advocate. What if the very act of them watching somebody strip in front of them already hurts you? Right? What if it's not that you don't trust them not to touch the person, but what if it's the fact that just them there in the act watching somebody else strip makes you hurt? Well, then it's not an issue of trust. And you might be well, maybe you should just be more secure. Right? But, I've said this before on other videos, having sexual boundaries doesn't make you insecure, right? If that were the case, then people who wanted to be monogamous would be insecure just purely for the fact that they don't want their partner to sleep with other people, right? So just because somebody might have more conservative sexual boundaries doesn't necessarily mean that they're insecure. So if this isn't an issue of trust and it's not an issue of insecurity, then it really becomes this issue of sexual boundaries and what we consider cheating, right? Which is why some of you guys might be completely unfazed by this whole strip club problem, while other ones of us, myself included, would be really, really hurt by our partner going to a strip club. I don't know why I said that like a broadcaster. Would be really, really hurt. Gotta put on my genuine face. It would freaking suck. And for people who do think the way that I think, you don't have to be shy to speak up and say that. And you also don't have to let yourself be gaslit by this social norm to think that strippers and bachelor parties are normal and that you are being crazy, for having some kind of reaction to them. You're not crazy. You're really not crazy. In fact, society's really weird on this one. Sometimes I just don't understand America. I mean, because think about this. The issue of strippers and bachelor parties, this is a really divisive issue that puts good men in these situations that compromise otherwise loving relationships. And realize that I say good men and not great men because great men don't fall prey to these traps. But like, why on earth, right? And just think about this. Why on earth do we have a social norm that hurts so many women? Right? And not all of them, but so many of them, right? And why on earth do we have this social norm that when these women are hurt, then makes their partner have to choose between them, their love for them, or their love for their friends? Why do we have that? Right? And then after thinking about the system and thinking about how this is all laid out, then the onus becomes on us, ladies, or whoever has a partner who wants to go to a strip club and you're not okay with it. Then the onus becomes for us, why on earth would you ever want to be with a partner who doesn't have enough backbone to stand up to that system or enough love for you to stand up to that system? Right? Or to actively opt out. Like, why on earth would you be okay with that? Boom! And Yes Renault said, let there be light. Actually, I'm about to shed some light on one of my own experiences. So I was dating this one guy, actually very intensely. It got to the point where even though it was short-lived, basically he was starting to use the L word to describe what we had, except he wouldn't do it in the like I love you sentence structure. So just to give you a sense of like how strong our feelings were. But then the topic came up of strip clubs and bachelor parties. And it also came up like not even like a real life thing, just like this was all theoretical. But it came up that he has 3 friends who he knows that like, you know, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day these 3 friends will have bachelor parties. And definitely there will be strippers at them. Right? So this became a very real conversation for the both of us. And he says, you know, he kind of feels like I do on the whole topic where he doesn't really see what other people see in having strippers at bachelor parties. And, you know, he saw me as like the apple of his eye and stuff. And he's like, what if I just go because like these are my friends' days and it would mean like so much to me, like I don't want to miss this special moment in their lives. But then he could see like how much it would hurt me, right? And he's like, if I extend this outwards and start to think how you would feel, he's like, you would probably be devastated. He's like, and so probably I would decide not to go because I wouldn't want to hurt you. He's like, but then I would start to feel resentment toward you. And so then he decided to end things because he would rather lose me now than end up resenting me later. So sorry, it's hard for me not to roll my eyes because, you know, even though I tried so hard to see his point of view, and I mean, I really tried, right? Like at the end of the day, he was still choosing 3 nights of strippers and bachelor parties over a potential lifetime with me, right? And it's hard not to feel hurt by that, right? Like it's hard not to feel undervalued, getting dumped for strip clubs and bachelor parties, essentially. But I mean, that's what happens when you speak up for yourself and what you're feeling, right? People leave your life. But if that happens, then they weren't always the right person for you. And people have asked me on this topic, they're like, well, you know, why couldn't you have just compromised, like just a little bit? Like, why couldn't you have compromised? And I have 2 things to say on that. Number 1, I don't believe you should ever compromise on self-respect. I knew that this would hurt me. I knew that it would hurt me too much to shove it down, let him go to these bachelor parties, pretend I'm okay with it, and live my life. I'd be disrespecting myself. And I think as soon as you start to disrespect yourself in a relationship, that's when it's doomed. So number 1, never compromise self-respect for somebody else. And number 2, to why I didn't just compromise, it's like, well, why didn't he just compromise? Why couldn't, instead of being resentful at me for not going to his friends' parties, why wouldn't he have been resentful of his friends for putting him in that position? Or why would he not have been resentful of the system for making them think that that's all okay? Why am I the one being resented when I'm just trying to have self-love? In fact, I even started to grow resentful towards him for putting me in this position, right? Because there's a difference. You know, not that it's great to be resentful, but there is a difference between being bothered like he was by me for vocalizing something and not letting him just selfishly float through the world, or being bothered like I was by knowing that we both saw that there was a problem with the system and being bothered that he wouldn't stand up to it. There's a difference between those two types of bothered. One's bothered that you won't sweep things under a rug. The other's bothered that there's dust there to begin with. Let's stop being dusty, America. Let's stop being dusty. And you might ask, like, why didn't we just let things run their course? And to be honest, I was gonna let them run their course. I was like, why don't we just keep dating and then just not be exclusive since we clearly have this giant incompatibility. But he was the one who ended it. So, boom, logistical problem, there you understand. But I think the absolutely most insane part of this whole story is the fact that when he went with this question to his friends to ask them what they thought about all this, basically they just laughed at it, kind of insinuated that I was uptight, and were saying, yeah, no, like, we're definitely gonna have strippers at our bachelor parties and you're definitely gonna be there, right? Like, it was this whole kind of like boys will be boys mentality that just like laughed away the complete hurt of like me, the woman on the other side, and just like laughed away like the love that was like in our relationship. It's just this boys being boys mentality, just like destroying a good thing. And it was so sad. And it reminds me, I think it was season 20 of South Park, but it reminds me of the season where like somebody is photoshopping like dicks into all the girls in South Park's mouths on like their Facebook photos. And the girls, in order to be more respected, they decide that they need to have solidarity and break up with all the boys in South Park. And that was such a genius thing of them to write into the South Park storyline, because it's kind of the only way I think we're gonna solve these slightly misogynistic problems, is by having a little piece of our men's hearts and saying, we love you, right? But we love ourselves too. And we're not going to stay with anyone who treats us in a way that doesn't honor that love or doesn't honor us. And I would argue that strip clubs, at least in the way they're done today, are not really actively showing love for the person you claim to love. At least when they're done in bachelor parties as the social norm coming of age thing. So ladies, men, whoever out there that's dealing with this problem, do not let your partner trick you into thinking that they have to go and that this is just the way things are done. Find someone who would actually stand up for you when something hurts you, who wouldn't turn their resentment onto you for when you're just trying to be loved. Find yourself that person. This should honestly, when it comes to strip clubs and bachelor parties and your partner, this should be a non-issue. And for some of you guys, you aren't even bothered, so that's a non-issue. But for those of us who are, this should be a non-issue. And if it becomes an issue, know that you have a say in that. You can vote with your feet, right, and walk away. And know that as you're walking away, that you're not doing it alone, right? The world's changing, and women are demanding more than this boys will be boys reasoning. Actually, you know, Dua Lipa or whatever her name is, she has this great song called Boys Will Be Boys, which basically goes like, boys will be, boys will be, boys will be boys, and girls will be women. Basically, it's meant to display how we raise our boys to be like, you know, fun-loving, entitled, a little bit selfish, but we raise our women to be like responsible and think about other people's feelings. So it's like, we're not doing that anymore. Like, boys need to start worrying about girls and women's feelings, right? Like, on a mass scale, on a national scale. But at the same time, on issues like these, we as women really need to step into our full power as women and not, like, get all small when something hurts us. What's gonna help speed up the process is if we walk away when our boundaries are being stepped over. So, that was just a great line from a song that I'm not sure really connects or makes any new points, but words are fun, and I have one more wordy thing that feeds into this whole thought process about how I think about strip clubs and bachelor parties, and that's this poem I wrote when that guy and I ended things over strip clubs and bachelor parties, and it's basically what I use to make me sleep at night. No, it helps me, you know, it helps me get over the fact that that relationship ended. So it goes, well, it's titled, When You Choose Self-Respect, ... And it goes, your falls will lean forward and your back will arch straight. You won't need to smile, it will show in your gait. Don't crawl like a child, don't beg, and don't wait. You made your decision. Only good things await. And of course, I'm not amazing at following it. I have a hard time letting go, but anytime you make the break with somebody who's treating you in a way that goes against your own self-respect, it is always good to start the process of leaving them. And on that note, I'm leaving you guys right now. If you want to donate to my Patreon, you can do so down below, or if you'd like to donate to my soul, feel free to watch more videos. Love you guys.